665-1161. And you can join us by phone at 617-315-0704. Our meeting password is 1645. If you are online and you want to participate, raise your hand in the WebEx, and staff will send you a request to unmute at the appropriate time. We're being recorded on BCAT. We can find it on Comcast 6, Astound 15, Verizon 41, and on Facebook Live. On the BCAT Government Facebook page will also be uploaded to the BCAT Government YouTube page within the next 24 hours.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is public participation. If there's anyone in the audience or online who would like to speak on a matter that is not currently on our agenda, please raise your hand. Seeing no one, we'll move on to announcements.
Yeah. So Martin Luther King Day is is this Monday, January 21st, and all town offices will be closed. Town meeting will be Monday, January 26th at 7 p.m., and that's at the Burlington High School Auditorium. And just a reminder that if it goes to night 2, that will be on Wednesday, the 28th, at the same time and the same location if needed. And then the next planning board meeting after this will be on February 5th, and there's only going to be one meeting in January and one meeting in February.
Just a slight correction. Monday is January 19th.
Thank you. January 19th.
Thank you. We do not have any legal notices or non-approvals, so we will move on to administrative matters. And our first item is item 6A, a proposed amendment to the Patricia Way subdivision. Robert W. Murray and Murray Hills Incorporated is the applicant. And who is here representing the applicant? Welcome.
Good evening. Evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. Thomas Murphy here for the applicant. What's before you, or what we brought before you this evening, I'm here representing Murray Hills and Robert Murray. Back in 2018, he had a 5-lot residential subdivision approved on Patricia Way, which is a proposed street off of Taylor Ave, which is just behind the center. That approval was granted, recorded, but hasn't been built out yet. It's still just sitting there. About a year ago, Mr. Murray came in ownership of some adjacent property, which was the back of a house that he owned on, I forget the street, but it was adjacent to it. So the bottom line is he has the ability to transfer property from the adjacent land, the adjacent lot, attach it to Lot 5 on this approved subdivision from 2018, and that would essentially create enough square footage and frontage for him to split Lot 5 on the original plan into Lot 5A and Lot 5B as shown on the plan that was submitted with this application. Under the board's rules and regulations, subdivision rules and regulations, this can be done one of two ways. It can be done as a minor engineering change, or it can be done as a formal amendment to the subdivision. It's up to the board to decide what the board feels is the appropriate way of doing this. I have submitted on behalf of my client a request that it be treated as a minor engineering change, which would essentially, if the board would agree that that's the correct process or procedure, we then come before the board to ask for their approval of the proposed change. So it's kind of a two-step process.
Okay.
If you, and not to interrupt, but just this might answer your question, if you decide that it's not suitable for minor engineering change, then our only recourse at that point would be to file a application for amend a subdivision plan.
Okay.
The difference between those two methodologies, for you guys know it, I'm sure, but for people listening, if you have to go to the amended subdivision route, there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes with that in terms of plans and engineering and notices and hearings and all sorts of things. It takes a long time. And as I'm going to point out in my presentation here, I would submit that all of that has already been done. If it goes the minor engineering change, then it's basically just a request before this board without having to go through that whole process, similar to an A&R plan almost. And so that's why we would prefer to go that route, obviously, rather than start from scratch and do another whole subdivision.
Okay.
Now, having said all that, if you look at the Section 7, I think it's 7.2.1 of your subdivision rules and procedures, it sets out the terms of what the board should be looking at as they determine which of these two processes is.
Can I stop you right there?
You can.
Thank you. I'd like to hear from our staff. It appears on our agenda as an amendment to a subdivision, and I want to hear from our staff what they're recommending and why, so that before we go any further.
So we have, yes, Patricia Way subdivision was brought to this board. It was approved. It was a, I think, a 5-lot subdivision, and you know, the A&R did happen. The subdivision does say that it is a 5-lot subdivision in the decision. I believe it's also on the plan set themselves. To my knowledge, we've never added an entire lot to a subdivision through a minor engineering change process. The concern being mostly the notifications to the other abutters that, so that's,
So it's your recommendation that it remain an amendment to a subdivision as it appears on our agenda?
and I mean, Attorney Murphy is correct. It is up to this board in the subdivision rules and regulations to determine whether, that is absolutely correct, whether or not this is minor in nature or it's a full amendment procedure to a subdivision. And that is ultimately up to you, but those are the choices. So Attorney Murphy is correct in that.
So before we move on to discussing that, I have a question. Because it is on our agenda as an amendment to a subdivision and was advertised as such, if we were to change it to a minor engineering change, can we do that tonight?
It was not formally, it was posted on the agenda, but it was not advertised. It wasn't like sent out to abutters or anything.
That would only happen if it was an amendment, correct?
Correct. Yeah, so this is just a discussion item.
This is just discussion.
This is
Okay,
just a
thank you.
discussion item on the agenda.
So we're not
You
going to be
guys-
voting tonight?
You're
We
going
will
to,
vote as to which way we're going?
correct.
Okay.
Yes, you were
All right,
deciding.
I
yes,
understand.
Correct.
So I'm wondering if the board wants to discuss a little bit whether or not we consider this a minor engineering change or whether or not we consider this a proposed, an amendment to the subdivision. Do you want to hear more from Mr. Murphy, or do you want to discuss amongst ourselves?
I'd like to hear more.
Likewise.
Okay, Mr. Murphy, please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And just quickly, because I know you got a busy agenda, but basically, the 7.2.1 sets out the criteria, if you will, that the board should be considering in deciding whether this qualifies as a minor engineering change or not. And the words, in the words of the section, it says, if the proposed change does not change the adequacy, acceptability, or character of the subdivision, the access, and the utility services, then such a change may be considered as an engineering change. Okay? So the criteria I would submit that the board should be considering as they decide which way you think is the right way to go here is right there in that sentence. This proposed change is not going to change the road at all. The street's going to stay exactly where it was approved before. It's going to be the same size. It's not being extended. That isn't changing. The utilities aren't changing. They're exactly where they were when the subdivision was approved back in 2018. Going to be in the same location under the road. There's no change in grade of the road. There's absolutely no change to the approved roadway and utilities that were approved back in 2018. So as far as what I had just pointed out, the criteria, the access and utility services are not being changed. There's no change to them. The third category or criteria, if you will, is the adequacy, acceptability, or character of the subdivision. As approved, this was a 5-lot residential subdivision. This is a cul-de-sac. It's not a cut-through street. Adding another house is not going to increase traffic. It's going to remain a small residential subdivision with, instead of 5 lots, 6 lots, all of legal-sized lots, correct frontage, correct area. So the character remains as the character. It's a residential subdivision. So I would submit, looking at it from that standpoint, this clearly qualifies as something that should be dealt with via an engineering change. As I said before, if you go the other route, we're bringing in engineers and
Right.
surveyors and all sorts of,
Understand.
and we're not changing anything that's already been approved.
Okay.
So I would suggest that going that route is just, frankly, a waste of this board's time and money, because you're going to come up with the same road with
No, I
this-
understand.
with an extra lot. So that is essentially the gist of it, Madam Chair, is if this board were to agree that this could be done via a minor engineering change, we'll come back later with the proper submission and go forward from
Right.
there.
Okay. Thank you. And I would like to hear from my fellow board members. I will say, I think this is sort of on the line between. My main concern isn't so much about the access and all those things that you mentioned. My concern is more about the fact that we've never increased the number of lots in a subdivision with a minor engineering change, so then it causes me to wonder if this will sort of open a Pandora's box.
And if I could just, well, it's fresh in my mind. I understand that, but I would suggest that most times, my knowledge anyway, most times when something is being added to a subdivision, it includes or involves extending the roadway out further, and then...
Right, well, it may,
This
and it may not.
This is, I would submit, as a unique situation, and that there was an extra lot of land right at the beginning of
Every
this.
situation that comes to us is unique, and we're always told that it will never happen again, and then it invariably does. I'm not saying
Understood.
that it shouldn't be a minor
No.
engineering change. I'm undecided.
No, that's
I'd like
fine.
to
I
hear
just
from my
wanted to
fellow
make the-
board members. I just want to make sure that we're considering that as we
Sure.
discuss.
I just wanted to make the distinction between this particular situation...
I understand.
...and what's usually involved in
Cul-de-sac
extending
too,
a
and that
roadway.
makes a difference. Joe?
Sure.
Please go ahead.
So, Tom, my question immediately comes to mind is what distinguishes this from an A&R? Like, in other words, why does this not qualify for an A&R? What would be the problems with it qualifying for an A&R?
Well, I mean, the roadway hasn't been built yet, I guess, is
But the roadway's laid out, and the roadway is all approved.
it's approved. It hasn't been constructed.
Right. But, so in other words, if you want
But
to
your point is well taken.
does it qualify in every other way? It has frontage, it has a
No.
minimum lot size, it has all this. So basically, it's either, if you wanted, you could wait for the roadway to be built and do an A&R. So it's really, they're going to get it no matter what happens anyways.
You're right. The only difference would be you couldn't do this lot until the road was, and then you'd have to come back and do this one, as opposed to just doing it a little bit more methodically.
Do it now or get it by right later.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
I mean, for that reason alone, it doesn't really make a lot of sense to put them through it. That to me is it's a no-brainer, I think.
Okay, thank you, Joe.
Yeah.
Other board members want to weigh in?
My question, I'm on Joe's side with this. It's a foregone conclusion. Excuse me. It is a dead end. What's the increased percentage of the additional property that's being added to it? To make it from 5 to 6.
Square footage-wise for the whole developed land, you mean?
Well, at 5 units, it was how many square feet? At 6 units, it's how many square feet?
Well, it's roughly another, I mean, a legal lot's 20,000 square feet. We're adding an extra lot, so it's 20,000 square feet more than it used to be.
All right. So you're adding
And-
20% to the size.
Right, and it's not being added to the end of it The first road, the first lot on the left is kind of being made deeper.
Yeah.
And then it's being cut.
I mean, like I said, I'm with Joe on this. It's foregone conclusion. We don't need to waste people's time or money for that matter. That's my take on it.
Anyone else want to weigh in?
I think, so with this, prior to this extra lot, it wasn't buildable, correct? So now it will be buildable.
Well, no. On the originally approved plan from 2018, Lot 5 had over 200 feet of frontage, and it had about 100 foot of depth.
Okay.
So there would have just been one, that's a one buildable lot, that's 20,000 square feet. There would have been one house on that lot.
Yep.
I mean, nothing's been built yet. So what happens now is we essentially wound up with some extra land behind.
Yep.
So now we've got two lots with 100 feet of frontage and 200 feet of depth, which is frankly more typical of a house lot in Burlington.
Yep.
So it's because that lot became deeper, it enabled that. We didn't need 200 feet of frontage anymore, we just needed 100 foot of frontage per
Yeah.
lot.
Okay. And I see what you're saying, yes, oh, thank you for this view. I see what you're saying, Barbara, in terms of like, wanting to trigger things. I think though, what I keep going back to is the definition of how we're setting it. And I do think how we have the minor engineering change defined does still
Yeah.
provide
It does.
some pretty consistent standards of not overdoing it. And so for me, then my next question is, I think to what Joe has said as well, is, I mean, it's inevitable. So for me, I feel like for everybody's time, I would be.
Okay. Tony Ann, did you want to weigh in?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Attorney Murphy, and I agree with Joe and Jess and Greg and everybody about, why waste somebody's time. Under the law, I think Attorney Murphy is correct, and I just think that it's inevitable, so I'm fine with it going as a minor engineering change.
Okay, thank you, Tony Ann.
You're
I just want to
welcome.
hear from staff, since it seems like
Okay,
it seems like the board is leaning toward the minor engineering change route. I want it to,
we're gonna shut that down.
So what I was about to say is that one of the reasons why I was concerned that the minor engineering change does not require notification to abutters.
neighbors.
There's no abutter notification requirement as part of the minor engineering change.
Was there notification with the prior?
There is a notification system with the subdivision process,
Yes.
but with a minor engineering change to a subdivision, there is not a notification process to abutters, and so that was
So basically,
the
right,
impetus.
the different, that is,
That's
because there's
where-
very little difference otherwise.
No, I mean, the amendment to the subdivision is gonna, we need to get, a new plan set, obviously.
yes.
It's gonna go through the process of being reviewed by other departments. Minor engineering change too, but there would need to update a lot of the calculations and make sure everything is kind of copacetic. And then I did reach out to the Board of Health, and they, I think they were kind of would like to see a updated, see the full as opposed to just the minor engineering change. But that was my kind of impetus,
And what would the Board of Health be looking at? Mainly drainage and?
drainage
yeah.
and all that stuff, yeah. And so as far as subdivision control law goes, statutorily, the Board of Health has to review all subdivisions. It's in Mass General Law. So those are just some
Okay,
other things.
This meeting is being transcribed and summarized.
okay,
Apologies for that.
that's okay.
Stay on this.
So what you're looking for tonight is for the board to vote on whether we want to accept this as a minor engineering change or require an amendment to a subdivision, am I correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Does anyone feel they had additional questions before they can vote on that question? No? Okay. All right, then, I am looking for a motion.
The minor engineering change is section 721.
Right, there's a motion in here,
Yeah, but the motion is not.
it's to necessitate the filing of an amendment. So if you think it should be a minor engineering change, you should vote no to this motion.
Okay.
Is correct? Is
Okay.
that, my understanding is correct? Okay.
So I can make the motion.
Can't we just make another motion?
We could make another
We do
motion
either
to
way.
accept it as a minor engineering change if the person who's making the motion would prefer to do that. I'm not making the motion, so. I mean, really, you would just change that, the wording a little bit there. I would,
Okay. I would like to make a motion to hereby finding that the proposed additional lot to the Patricia Way definitive subdivision represents a minor engineering change pursuant to section 7.2.2.1 of the rules and regulations governing the subdivision of land in Burlington, Massachusetts.
Second.
okay.
And roll call.
We are going to do all roll call.
Yep.
Thank you.
So LaRue,
No.
Sutherland,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Harrington,
Yes.
Impemba,
Yes.
Oh,
Natola.
Let me request. Tony, and you gotta unmute again, sorry.
She's not locked, though. She should be able to unmute.
Yes.
Okay.
there we go.
Okay.
All right, so the board has therefore decided that you may submit a minor engineering change, and you'll come back, I assume, at our February meeting?
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
coordinate with. yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, members of the board.
Thank you.
Do you want me to make this next? Yes, please. I'd like to make a motion to take items 7A and 7B together and out of order for discussion purposes.
Second.
Sorry, we're just,
Sorry, LaRue,
Yes?
Sutherland.
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
And Pemba.
Yes.
Natola.
Yes.
Okay, so 70 and out of order. Okay, thank you. Item 7A is a public hearing. Application for approval as special permit pursuant to Section 4.2.6.10, restaurants, fast order food, and takeout of the zoning bylaws, 28 Wynn Street Donuts LLC is the applicant. And item 7B is a public hearing, application for approval of a special permit pursuant to Section 4.3.2.27, drive-through facility of the zoning bylaws, 28 Wynn Street Donuts LLC is the applicant. And who is here on behalf of the applicant? Welcome, and although we know you, please state your name for the record.
Before I do that, can I indulge on the board to ask for their indulgence of me? There is a defensive tackle from Yale University who 55 years ago knocked out my front teeth. And after 55 years, I've had to have one replaced. So if I slur my words, I have a hole here right now because I can't put the temporary in. But I haven't been drinking, I haven't been doing anything. So I apologize in advance.
Nice and close so we can hear you better.
Okay.
Thank
I'm
you.
trying to stay away with words with F and S. So
That's what mouthpieces are for, isn't it?
I had a mouthpiece. And when in Hanover, New Hampshire, when the roots were hanging and the wind was hitting it, that's pain.
Okay. Thanks for sharing.
Well, I just wanted to, I didn't want you to think I was out my car before the meeting.
Okay.
I'm here to support Greg, who I've known for quite some time.
Names. for the
Oh, I'm
record.
sorry. Robert Buckley, Raymond Bronson, Greg Nolan from Carpool Management, the owner of the Dunkin' Donuts on Wynn Street, and the new owner. And in the special permit that was originally issued for this Dunkin' Donuts, there was a condition that on change of ownership, the new owner had to come and essentially amend the permit to create for the new owner.
Okay.
So
So you're the new owner.
Yes, I am.
As of when?
It's been about 3 months. Yeah,
Congratulations.
Okay.
thank you.
So this seems to be a pretty straightforward change of ownership, correct? Okay.
and it's, I believe staff has been out there to look at it.
Staff, is there anything that we should know about?
No, well, I
beyond
think
that?
as Attorney Buckley mentioned, the way that the permits that are issued by the board, they are specifically to the user. So when they transfer to the new ownership. It requires a new special permit. You see there's 2 special permits for both the use as well as the drive-through. This, kind of this, part of the reason we have this special permit kind of review in place is to kind of, when these transfer of ownership happen, assess the site, is it working as well as it can be? If there's anything wrong, this would be an opportunity to fix it. I think that the board last saw this in late 21, early 22 when this site was redesigned. So now it's the double drive-through lane there. And so what we did is we reached out to our traffic safety officer with the police department to ask, is there any data, is there any crash data from that area, specifically caused by this Dunkin' Donuts. He said there's been only 2 in that, what is it now, 4 or 5 years since then. And one was minor with no details, and one was just somebody forgot to yield to the exit lane. So I think, given the amount of data that's available, we see that as no need to change what's on the site. Kind of given the layout, I think that's pretty all set. The only thing that we did notice, and that I did drive down there, get myself a coffee, and I noticed that at a peak time in the morning, there wasn't spilling onto Wynn Street, so that seemed to be okay. If you go to the street view, there was one sign pole that is empty right now, and on the plan of record, it says that there's supposed to be a drive-through sign. And in looking at it there. And this, I think, is screenshots from at least 2 years ago now, which means that this site's been operating with that pole being empty for at least 2 years. Given how the site is operating, I think that we feel comfortable if there's no sign put back up there, and honestly, if the pole is removed, that's our suggestion. If the board thinks that it's necessary to have that sign up, we would ask that a new sign be put back up on the pole. We think it's best when you don't have to add extra signs. It's better to have less than too much. So that would kind of be it as far as the site. And then the only other thing in that area is the town is putting a new traffic light at the intersection of Wynn Street and Mountain Road. Hey. So that's something that's going to be coming online soon. I know that I think a lot of the materials are out there. It's not online yet. And in talking with our DPW and engineering staff, that they were able to show the plans to me, and they said, the extent of work, it cuts off right at the edge of the property, so we don't envision this being something that contributes to anything additional right at the site. So our recommendation, and kind of the only thing that I think is up for the board's discussion, is what you want to do with that sign.
Okay. All right.
Signpost. Okay.
Do you have anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I would just say, I learned of it a couple days ago, so and whatever the board's pleasure is, I'm happy to do whatever you like. My sign guy's going to go out there and remove the pole.
Okay.
So unless you want me to put another sign up, I'm happy to do that too.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Any board members have strong feelings one way or another about the sign and the pole?
I would personally would prefer to see the sign, but it's not anything that I would hold up against.
I live down the street. I go to that Dunkin' Donuts.
Appreciate it.
I think that because of the open nature of the land around it, I don't think the sign's necessary to call out.
Were you able to figure out that it's a drive-through?
Actually, yes. It took me a little while. No, but
Okay.
the modifications of the drive-through have taken traffic off Wynn Street as well. It's been very
Yes.
nice to be a resident of the area. So.
Okay, great.
Great.
Joe, you had something?
I'm a firm believer of the less signs, the better. That's the way I see it. So.
Okay. All right. I feel comfortable with that, and if the applicant is comfortable, I am ready for a motion. Oh, wait, this is a public hearing. Are there any members of the public here in person or online who wish to weigh in on this matter?
Also, Tony's online.
Oh, and Tony Ann, too, sorry. Tony Ann, do you have anything?
I'm fine.
Okay.
I'm fine with the way you
Is there anyone
did
in
it.
the public who wants to speak on this matter?
I don't see any hands raised on WebEx, no.
Okay.
Motion to close the public meeting on this matter.
Second.
LaRue,
Yes.
Sutherland,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
Impemba.
Yes.
Natola.
Yes.
Motion to approve the request of Wynn Street Donuts LLC for special permits pursuant to section 4.2.6.10, restaurants, fast order food and takeout, and 4.3.2.27, drive-through facility of the zoning bylaws to permit a change in operator of the existing Dunkin' Donuts for property located in the general business DG district at 28 Wynn Street, subject to the terms and conditions contained in Exhibit A attached.
Second.
LaRue.
Yes.
Sutherland.
Yes.
Ryan.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
Impemba.
Yes.
Natola.
Yes.
All right, 6-0.
Okay, all right. Well, welcome to Burlington. We wish you much success. I know it's a very popular business.
I go out of my way because it's the most efficient Dunkin'.
Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
please.
We're gonna try, yeah, we're gonna do our best to keep it that way. The poll will be down next week. So, and I can take a picture and shoot it to you, whatever you like.
That'd be great.
Hey, thanks for your time, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, now we are going to go back into our regularly scheduled agenda and go to item 6B. Item 6B is a discussion, text amendment to the MBTA Communities Multifamily Overlay District zoning bylaws at 300 Summit Drive, submitted by the Gutierrez Company. So welcome, and before you get started, I just wanted to let you know and sort of remind my fellow board members that staff did give us a very nice historical overview in our notes, and I think that was very helpful, so thank you very much. And take it away.
Thank you. Madam Chair, members of the board, for the record, Robert Buckley, Raymond Bronstein. I have with me this evening Scott Weiss from the Gutierrez Company. We intend to give a brief overview of what we're proposing to go to the May town meeting with. And there's a lot of work to be done between now and then, but we feel it's important to put it out there so the discussion is legitimate, transparent, so that people will know what's happening and not rumor and innuendo. That being said, I don't have to tell this board because I know a number of the members of this board quite familiar with what's going on in the general economy right now. And even though Burlington is still, I think, one of the premier locales, municipalities in eastern Massachusetts, it's suffering like others, perhaps not as much, but the vacancies and the likelihood of those being filled in the short term or perhaps even the long term is suspect. And the communities that are being proactive and trying to create eco centers that take the assets they have today and position them with what users are looking for are the ones that are going to succeed. And I think as we go through this, we feel that this will help preserve, protect, and enhance what Burlington has and position it, hopefully, to move forward. I know that there is a strong sentiment in the community about housing, but frankly, in the last year and a half or 2 years, anyone who has called me or come to my office that was thinking of locating in this area, and by the way, they no longer come and say, we want to be in Burlington. They say, this area. The first question they ask is, how's the housing? Because housing is critical for the ecosystem. That being said, it's an emotional issue for many, and we hope to be able to answer the questions and go through the process and be as transparent as we can. And we respect the judgment of this board. We've worked over the decades to put Burlington in a position that it's primarily going through this board with the users, put the town in a position where it has the assets that can be protected. And when I say assets, commercial space, sorry, that hopefully that housing will be an added component that will make it more attractive and preserve its tax base and its economic vitality. That's going to be vetted. You have the obligation and the right to vet it, so we just wanted to give you an overview, and with that, I'm going to turn it over to Scott.
Good evening. Thanks, Scott Weiss with the Gutierrez Company. Thanks for having us. Thank you, Bob, for that. And just want to reiterate, I'll go through the slides. I'll go through them quickly. There's a lot to get to. We know this is just the beginning of a long discussion. And we are here, as we have always been throughout the company's nearly 50-year history of coming here to work with you. We're proposing something that we feel we work hand in hand with mostly this board, but with the town overall, as almost like an economic development agent of the town with all the work and history that we've done over the years. So the presentation we're going to go through has the items here, 5 items that we'll hit. We'll try to hit it quickly. First off, some background, if we can go to the next slide. I know some of you, many of you, know the Gutierrez Company. I haven't been here in front of the board in quite some time. Some members are new and maybe don't have the history of the Gutierrez Company. And I know, as you said, Madam Chair, that the staff provided some background, and I'm not going to dwell on it, but just so you have some of the information, you can look back on it. Gutierrez Company has been around for, as I said, nearly 50 years, developed almost 12 million square feet of space. We're based here in Burlington. If you go to the next slide, even the majority of our work has been here in Burlington. This is an aerial view with I-95 or Route 128 running right down the middle from left to right. And it highlights many parcels that we have worked on over the years in town with retail sites, but the majority of it has been office, lab, and R&D type space over the years. Over 2.5 million square feet. I think it's up around 2.7 million square feet, over 20 projects that include buildings, expansions, multiple projects over the years that we have delivered in Burlington. Significant economic driver, working in cooperation. I know you also know that we were instrumental in participating in the preservation of Grandview Farm, one of the major accomplishments of the company as part of that three-way land swap. Next slide. So just overall, again, what we've done here in Burlington, which is more than we've done anywhere else. We are not a fly-by-night development company. You guys know that because we've been here for so long. But the communities that we work in over and over and over again. We're not building something and then running away. We're here to preserve value, deliver value for the community, and do so in a cooperative way. As I mentioned, nearly 12 million square feet, over 2.5 million in Burlington. All of that has been retail and office lab R&D, commercial space. We also do residential development. We've just not done any of it in Burlington over the years. It's not the major focus of our company. We've done about 2,000 units. Go to the next slide. Even you can see the 2,000. This is just some of our recent projects that are either in construction, just recently wrapped, or in planning and permitting stages. About 6 different projects listed there, about 1,000, 1,200 units in process right now in various stages. So we do a fair amount of residential. We ultimately do not operate or manage residential, so there will be a partner or an operator or perhaps even a different owner that will operate and run residential. But we do these projects, we work with the towns that we are in, we deliver the full design package, we will permit it all the way through, and then it'll be a package and we'll figure out how to best construct these projects, either with a partner or we build it and somebody else operates it. We usually work that out as we go forward. We just don't have residential management arm of our operation.
So you will build it, or is that in question?
We may build a part of it. As we talk about it a little bit, there are a couple of different components of the project that we're envisioning, both a rental and a for sale component. There may be a possibility where we build one piece but not the other, or something to that effect.
So these examples that you give us in the other towns, were those built by Gutierrez?
They're almost of the pictures that are there, not built by Gutierrez.
Okay.
So it was not our construction company that built them. We were either partners, JV, or sales, ultimately, of the finished project.
That's unknown here.
That is not defined, right. But every one of those projects that you see there was designed by us. and then ultimately delivered what we said what the project would be. So we package it so that even if it's a different builder that comes in, they're building what we have designed and permitted as we go through this. Next slide. We can go on. Just a little bit of the history of the Summit Office Park. If you go back, maybe not all that long, maybe 10 years or so, it used to be called Wheeler Road West, but it was renamed to Summit. It does sit up high a little bit. 4 buildings, which includes Millipore, 400 Summit, 200 Summit Drive, which is where our office is located, a multi-tenanted office building. Used to be a Siemens building back in the day. That consisted of 2 projects. It was initially built and then expanded. Down at the bottom of the hill, we purchased what is now 100 Summit, used to be 128 Wheeler Road, renovated and completely changed and updated that building. And then you have the smaller retail building at 50 Summit Drive with the Jersey Mike's and Metro Credit Union in front there. And we can keep going. The parcel that we're talking about is adjacent to this. It's almost as if it was the other half of the development. If you look at where the main access drive is, around 200 and to 400 Summit Drive, it has been reviewed and permitted. Last time I think I was here was for this project as an office lab facility, a life science building, which was what was permitted previously on the site outlined in yellow. And then going to the next slide, as part of that effort, as well as the Millipore and prior efforts, there was significant investment in upgrades in this part of Middlesex Turnpike. There were 2 different projects that were completed over the time. The Phase 1, which really included the Middlesex Turnpike section at the light, where Summit Drive and the ramps off of the northbound side of I-95 connect, and then the traffic signal light system as it goes north. There was a second project that included both Summit Drive and the ramps reconfiguration, as well as reworking all of Middlesex Turnpike south of that location, added significant pedestrian upgrades to provide for a sidewalk connectivity all the way from up Summit Drive and down, and now you can walk the length of Middlesex Turnpike from the southern end to well past was it Blue Sky Drive and the like now, that entire continuity. As you go to the next slide, the aerial on the left side shows the old configuration. The intersection was offset. It was very inefficient. When you have an offset like that, you can't run traffic in both directions at the same time. It was realigned, a lot of work put into that, as well as the pedestrian upgrades, really allows for that to operate much more efficiently. So all of that work was done, and it was done incorporating the one additional building that was planned up there for the life science facility. So if we go to the next slide, so with that life science building here, why are we doing this? And Bob touched on this a little bit. There are some cutouts of different reports and articles. As you well know, the life science market, and we are participating in this. We know that there was a huge market demand, and we were all rushing to build life science facilities. We built over 1 million square feet in the last, well, probably in 5 to 6 years, from the late teens, before the pandemic, through the pandemic, before really the industry fell apart. And this market in Massachusetts, Eastern Mass, Boston, Cambridge, which is one of the most robust markets in the country, if not the most, and the world, is now significantly overbuilt. They're talking, I think I saw the stat, 27% vacancy. There's still additional shadow space. We don't see life science coming back for a significant amount of time. 10 years. And it's not that there's not interest, there's science being done. It was just there was so much over leasing and over speculation, if you will. There are buildings that are now built as lab buildings that are trying to be converted back to office and or residential. at this point because that market is overbuilt. We also know that the office market is completely different now. There's beginning to be a little bit of stability, but market values in office space is completely obliterated. You had a building here in town that was sold well below the cost to build it. There was a building up the road in Bedford that was sold $15 a square foot, a building that is vacant, so the value of it is incredibly depressed. So we know that those things, and this is not going to happen. So you would think, oh, we're just flipping to residential because there's a demand for that. Partially. That is partially true. There is a demand for that. But we also know, and there's been tons of reports, both, and you have examples of this locally as well as nationally, that areas that have a mix of uses, including residential, fare much better. You get more tenant interest, more people in buildings, more use of the commercial space when there's a mix of uses and you create a neighborhood. So that's why we're here. We're not trying to do something to ram something through. We're trying to preserve the value. If you go to the next slide, please. We're trying to preserve the value of the Summit neighborhood, and we're trying to create a vibrant neighborhood that is a mix of uses that allows for 24/7 activity. We have a cafe in 200 Summit that could be really useful for a residential purpose and to cross-mix and to provide a pedestrian-friendly area that interconnects everything that's in that area and is tied together to Middlesex Turnpike and everything that is available in that neighborhood. And it's not unlike what the town has done and is showing success on 3rd Avenue and up Blue Sky Drive and the recent zoning change at the mall. You're sprinkling in residential, multifamily format in your commercial area. You're sprinkling it through to create more neighborhoods where there's activity, where people live and work and eat and shop all together. And we don't want to leave Summit, our existing building, the Millipore, we don't want to leave it on an island because we know that those islands are the last places that commercial tenants, office tenants are looking to fill. We don't want to leave it as an island. We want to make it a mixed-use environment where people can live and work and preserve the value in the office product that we have there. We don't want that to go vacant either. So it's a joint effort we know nothing is going to happen to be built on the commercial side on that parcel, and we want to preserve the value both for us and for the town revenue side in that location. So our proposal, if we go to the next slide, and I'll wrap up, is pretty simple. You guys have done a lot of work already in town where you have zoning text and language in place already. We want to take advantage of that, create a sub-district that would apply for this neighborhood, use that existing zoning language. As compared to the recent zoning change on Middlesex Turnpike, this would be less dense at 40 units per acre, and we would go there. We know, just flipping to the next slide, we know that, oh, there it is. We got a lot of work to do. There needs to be a public hearing. We're going to go to town meeting. There's all sorts of other committees and boards that need to weigh in and staff. So we know there's a long process here. We propose some language. We know that there may be interest in changing some zoning controls and how this might go forward. We're open to all of that discussion, and we welcome it because we see this as a partnership, as a way to go forward and do something that we can all feel proud of and see be successful and continue that success. So thank you.
Could I just add two things? One of the important things there I would like the board to consider is the appointment of a subcommittee to work through some of these issues. Mm-hmm. And number two, hearing over the last 2 years of a variety of product, this is contemplated to have about 40 units of for sale property. And
didn't mention that.
Yeah,
so.
And also
How many for sale? Sorry.
40.
46 is, yeah.
46.
Yeah. So the way we see this laying out is.
Though, I mean, that's not what we're voting on, though?
No. the ultimate project, the zoning would permit it.
Would permit it?
Yes, that's
Right, okay, but it doesn't.
Yeah, all that you would be recommending now is the zoning, and then we have to come back next.
Understand. Okay,
But
thank
all
you.
I think, as I said, transparency, you have to know what you're voting on,
Yes,
and you have to know what the ultimate template is. And we also have townhouses that we're contemplating putting up there. But all those things would be addressed. And for that reason, we wanted to come and just put it out there to start the discussion. I don't think it's appropriate tonight before the board because we're not at a public hearing. But I think this is a critical juncture to come through this board to start having those discussions so we can move forward and
right.
try to understand and incorporate and address the issues of the town.
Okay.
With the ultimate objective, yes, they want to have a viable commercial development up there, but also it's critical to preserve and enhance the tax value of the town.
Okay, thank you. So I want us to just remember what it is we're voting on. We're voting on a request for zoning change, not yet.
Right.
But eventually.
Like, already?
Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah. Our next step is, as Attorney Buckley alluded to, we're going to set up a subcommittee. So we're going to do that tonight. But I also think the other thing we can do tonight, we don't want to delve too much into the details because it's just not, they're not ready, we're not ready. But it might be helpful if board members have things that they think should be discussed at the subcommittee level for us to sort of throw some of those out there so that the
We could
applicant
start
has a
there.
chance to sort of prepare those things so that when we go to subcommittee, we know some of the issues that we want to discuss. So with that in mind, board members, who wants to start?
I'll start.
Jeremy, please go ahead.
So just some things that come to mind are, the MBTA zoning law was approved by town. There was agreement for a build-out across the street from Third Ave with even denser living. So the town's already said yes to a lot. Not everybody agrees with it. It has been contentious. So as you go through this process, it's important to keep in mind the density and the fact that what I keep hearing in these discussions is that what we're seeing in our town is affordable starter homes being knocked down, very large, expensive homes being built, and apartments being built. And it's either end of the affordability spectrum. I'm not saying that apartments are low cost, but if you can't afford a $2 million home and you want to live in this town, then you're going to end up in an apartment. I like the concept of for sale, but if this goes in front of town meeting, you have to be aware that the town's already said yes to a lot. It has been contentious. And that's one of the things that's come up over and over is there's not that middle ground or middle housing that really our studies over and over say we need. So I think you're going to have to come with a solution that brings some of that to the table to get people on board. And then the other is traffic. While there are improvements at the traffic light at the bottom of Summit Ave is a little narrow before it gets wider, right before it gets to the intersection with Middlesex Turnpike. 400 units, I think that was the number I saw, is if they only have one entrance and one way in and out, it puts them all at that intersection. Obviously, it's not all at once, but it is an increase in traffic in one of the busiest general areas in this surrounding area, right? So just to be conscientious of how do you get ahead of that, how do you mitigate it, how do you come to the table with a plan that people can agree with. So those are things I'd like to see done.
Good point, Jeremy. We've had discussions on those already, so good.
That's all.
Okay. Joe, did you have anything you wanted to say?
Yeah.
Okay. Greg?
So I had the distinction of being on town meeting when land swap took place. And then I also had the fun of being there when you guys tried to put a target in there. Town meeting said no. You went back again. Town meeting said no. My real question is, how are you going to convince town meeting that the place can handle the traffic? Because Middlesex Turnpike in that section right there is extremely busy. And you got the Millipore up there on your third, I think it was your third try, by the time you actually got something approved there. but it was only half the space. Now you got to go back and get the other half the space, and the single largest opponents or negative was the traffic.
There's
And-
police detail there on weekends.
Yeah, so just to, I was not there for the early land swap, but yeah, it was. Yeah. But for the Target, you're right. In town meetings, infinite wisdom, we did not proceed with the Target there. We did not get approval. But after that, we did get approval for Millport, and then we were back again, which included conversion of the Summit to the Innovation District, and we got approval there for that, too. So it's 2 out of 3. But you're right. I do not sit here, we do not sit here today saying, oh, this is easy. We think it makes sense, and I think it's incumbent upon us to explain how and why it makes sense, not just for us, but it makes sense for the community as well. So I think that's a good point, though.
Okay, my 2 other comments on that is, so right now, we do have the mixed use for the mall, which is somewhere in the neighborhood of 750 to 1,000 apartments. It's not, like, it's on the horizon, right? We also have the middle housing, which is in the center of town, which is anywhere from, 100 to 150 units potential.
It's 12 units an acre.
Yes.
We've got the 188 units that Norblom's putting in.
Right.
Lifetime is putting in a new building. Northwest Park's got, I think, 2 other buildings going up.
No.
I don't.
Aren't there four
No
buildings
housing
in total?
buildings, I don't think.
4 buildings total at Northwest Park?
They have.
We have 2 that have been built,
They have 3.
One-
Lifetime, and then there's one that's been approved, but hasn't been
Yeah.
permitted.
Okay, so there's one that's been approved and that
Right.
has been permitted. So we're getting up and up and up in the total number of permitted apartments, right? And my question on that is, that's a lot to the size of the town. And what would be, in a perfect world, what would your timeline be?
Yeah, so it's going to take some time because there's a lot of housing that you're talking about at various points. This would be built out over, at best, 3 to 5 years, and it may take a little longer to deliver than that.
Thank you. Greg, is anything else?
No, those were,
Okay,
that's.
thank you. Jess?
Thank you.
I think I have a few initial concerns that I think will be important to be ironed out or understood as we go along. I think the ambiguity of who will build, who will manage, what happens from there, is kind of the most alarming to me. Simply in terms of it feels like let's get in, let's get it done, and then get out. Versus, kind of one of the big motivators closer to Third Ave was there was so much interdependence with Nordblom that, really it all would succeed together. And so I just have concern about this, having this happen and then it be like, well, who's going to be managing it? How much are they going to care? How much are they going to upkeep it? Are they going to be hard to work with? Like, who knows? So I think that is a little bit of a red flag for me on all of it. And then I'm curious because this plot, I was looking at Google Earth, backs up to Lexington Homes. How does that work, or does it work with Lexington?
We have not gotten to that
No.
point yet.
If it happened, the Lexington Homes would be noticed as abutters, if they are abutters.
So-
I'm not sure they are. What this is.
Definitely
They are.
when it comes to
Yeah.
site plan review, they definitely would. I think that surrounding towns need to be noticed for zoning changes, but that's surrounding towns, not abutters, right? Is that correct?
The towns will get notice as well as the state, for instance.
Yeah.
It would be noticed if the zoning change goes through and then the project proceeds.
Okay.
And they've been active in the past. Like when Millipore went in, they were very active.
Okay.
Participants
Yeah,
in
there
that
were some
process.
nice homes up in that. And then I think saw a nice little, basketball court abutting it. The other thing that I think obviously would be discussed as part of the subcommittee, but will be really important too, is that I literally wrote down this question of, is this an area where people will really find it to be like a nice community? I mean, there's so much traffic and people in and out and so much, I mean, it's like walkable, but it's like a very different type of walkable than when you're kind of on the other side of the highway. And so understanding like how that looks and how that gets improved will obviously be a pretty big part, because I mean, when I grocery shop, I could easily walk from probably Market Basket, Trader Joe's, but I'm like, this feels dangerous. So I think understanding how that comes to play will be pretty important.
Well, that's a legitimate point. We actually had some discussions with some of the commercial abutters how we can do the interconnectivity. And when I said earlier about assets that we're trying to enhance in the town to make it attractable, that's one of them. Also, you have the Mary Cummings property not too far away. That's an asset. And but you have to create an identity. You're absolutely right. And you have to have interconnectivity. And the one thing that Burlington has in this corridor is if there's any place you want to put multifamily housing, it's in this corridor. Because a different type of person is going to live there versus someone who wants to have a single-family home down in a neighborhood at this point. You get young professionals or whatever.
It's different times in your life cycle, right? You know, that you might live in an apartment versus a single-family home. I did just want to comment a little bit about the ownership long-term. So we've done this repeatedly. We've done this in other locations where we're still involved. As I said, we own property on Summit Drive. We don't want anything, you know, the last thing I can do is screw up the traffic so my boss can't get out of Summit Drive at the end of the day, or to have a neighborhood that doesn't work or doesn't increase value. So, and we've done this elsewhere where we've had projects where we're interconnected and intertwined. So we share your same goals and concerns, and we'll work, you know, ultimately on a permit side, and because the zoning, you can't put certain conditions in, but we'll work with you to make sure that the permit is written in such a way that we're all comfortable that what gets delivered is good for everyone.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Jess, anything else?
That's it, thank you.
Tony Ann?
No, I'm all set because everything that I'm thinking has already been said.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I have a list, and not to discuss tonight, just things that I think we need to talk about when we get to subcommittee. I share Jess's concern, because if we don't know who's building it and we don't know who's managing it, and you don't either, I mean, you want it to work, I believe you. I completely agree that you want it to work, but you won't have control over it at some point. So that concerns me. Other things that I want us to discuss in subcommittee. I'm sure there is data about traffic from a life science building versus residential and how that compares. So we'll have to look at that. You talked about creating a neighborhood and having it be walkable, but where are they walking to? I don't see that. And like Jess said, theoretically, yes, they could walk to Dunkin' Donuts, but it's not a comfortable walk. So what are you going to do on the site to create that neighborhood feel? So, you know, you saw what town meeting approved down at the mall area, and it's a vision, nothing's happened, but it included public space and open space and wide sidewalks and trees and all those things that make people feel comfortable and like they're in a neighborhood. Mm-hmm. You can't just stick an apartment building in and run a sidewalk down to Middlesex Turnpike and say, oh, you can walk. That's not going to make people comfortable. So what can we do to actually make it a neighborhood if that's what we're looking for? Let me see. Okay. This is sort of back to what Jess was saying. It's a little less comfortable because we don't really know exactly what we're getting. We don't know what the split will be between rent and own. We understand we're going to say what's possible, but that doesn't mean we still don't know what we're getting. Another thing I think we should talk about in subcommittee is why are we adding a section D? Why can't we use section C? Section C sounds like it's very similar to what you're talking about, where you're just changing the number for the density. So let's talk about whether or not we are benefiting from adding another section, or if this could just be part of section C. So we talked about that. We need to talk about sidewalks. We need to talk about whether or not you envision structured parking, or if it would all be surface level parking. And then the other thing, and this is not really something for us to discuss, it's just something that's on my mind, and it's not just with your proposal, it's actually with what we're seeing from developers everywhere. Because as you said, nobody's building office space, nobody's building lab space anymore. Everyone just wants to build housing, and I understand that it's not just you, it's everybody. But my concern across town, not just at this site, is that we are creating long-term solutions to short-term problems. The problem is not always going to remain the same, but once you build the housing, it's there for forever, probably. So I want to make sure that we are not building too much housing and too much of the same style of housing as what we already have. So these are concerns that I have that are not particular just to your site, but overall concerns that I have for the town. And those will come into play as we proceed. So,
on that point, can I, and it's really been frightening when you say, what are you building and how is it going to weather the storm? In my career, I have never, except for the last probably year and a half, I've actually had property owners call me up and say they want to scrape the buildings. They want to take them down along 128, take them down, because it's cheaper to keep it as open land, and these buildings aren't that old.
okay.
That's where we are, so.
So before we set up the subcommittee staff, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Not at this point.
Jeremy does, but okay, go ahead. Jeremy?
Just another call out as things are discussed. There are a lot of trees and grass up here. This is high up, as you mentioned, it's on a summit, hence Summit Drive. I just want to be cognizant of any runoff. How do we prevent that? How do we preserve some of how that moisture and runoff is absorbed in that area, right? I just want to be conscientious of that, and I think it ties back to the whole walkability. You want green space, so we want to, I know water mitigation is part of it, but it's also what's downstream. It's not just what's on that hill, it's what's underneath. So, just
All good points.
Okay, thank you. So we need to set up a subcommittee. I think we have to have at least 2 people, but I also think 3 would be fine. I personally would like to serve on this subcommittee. Who else is interested?
When would you meet Barbara? When would you meet Barbara?
I'm sorry, what'd you say, Tony Ann?
When would you meet for this subcommittee? That's part of the problem.
Well, subcommittee meetings generally do happen during the day because we need our staff there. So we can do Wednesday evenings would be the only evenings that we could do subcommittee meetings. I don't know what the applicant's feelings are about that.
We will
So
adjust.
we will need,
We will
I would
meet at the pleasure of
imagine,
the
a number of subcommittee meetings. The next planning board meeting is February 5th, but I don't see this actually coming to us then. I think we're looking at March 5th?
So,
Is that right?
So to open the public hearing, this was submitted last week, so there, in our bylaw, there's a statutory 65 days by which
Okay.
a public hearing has to open. So
Okay.
the latest we could open the public hearing is the first meeting in March.
So I would see this coming in the first meeting in March, and I think that anyone who wants to be on the subcommittee should plan on there being at least 2 or possibly 3 subcommittee meetings between now and then, because we want to be able to have a lot of these issues fleshed out before we come to the full board again on with a public hearing. So that's the level of commitment we'd be looking for. So having said that, anybody want to change their minds?
I guess my question, not to change my mind, but this is, This looks like it's going to be a tight timeline to get it
Yes.
for Maytown meeting.
Oh, for May?
For May?
Yeah.
Oh, that's tight. It's not impossible.
Give my mouth shut.
It's not impossible, but it's not impossible. When does it have to go?
If you don't set a deadline, then you won't.
No, but when does it have to go to print on the warrant?
A month before.
So April.
2 weeks, isn't it?
Yeah, they know, they do it earlier.
It's sometime in probably mid-April,
So when is Maytown meeting?
mid-May,
Mid-May.
third week of May, I think.
The third Monday?
No, it's, we have it as May 11th.
Oh, so that means you are going to, it's going to be tough because we're going to have one meeting in March,
2 meetings in March.
2 meetings in March, and then 1 meeting in April, and that'd be it.
Is there no second meeting in February?
It's
No.
No, there
week of
isn't.
February vacation week, when people are.
Yeah, so that's why we couldn't see you again until March
You can
1st.
always extend, but we can always, if we don't set a
Okay.
goal,
Fair enough.
So if we have May 11th is the date of town meeting, then we have to have the warrant article done by
Mid-April.
April 15th?
Let's see.
And the final planning board hearing would be March 26th, according to this chart on
Yep.
the town meeting website.
For Maytown meeting.
For Maytown meeting, the
So we
final
would
planning
only
board
have
hearing is
2
March
meetings.
26th.
We would only have 2 planning board meetings then to get this done. So it's not impossible, but it's tight, but you know that, and we see what happens. Okay. So, again, I'm going to ask who wants to be on the subcommittee meeting. Tony Ann had asked a question. I don't know if you're interested, Tony Ann. Anybody else?
I don't think I can make that time frame,
Okay.
Barbara.
You.
I
Yes or
have
no?
interest, I just have to review schedule.
Okay. Well, let's say the subcommittee therefore will be me, Jeremy, and Greg, and if Jeremy can't make it, you let me know, and because we have 3, so, as long as we have 2 people in the room, we're good to move forward, I think. Does that sound good?
So are we not discussing this in the February meeting?
I don't think we are, because I don't think we're going to be able to get it
I don't think it would be
done at subcommittee
appropriate
level.
because the meeting this was an informal
Right.
introduction, and to talk substance, I think you have to be in a public
Right.
hearing format.
Right. So it would come in March 5th. Now,
March.
that having been said, that's the subcommittee, anyone can attend. So if you're not on the subcommittee and you're available, we're going to be telling everybody about the meetings. Everybody can come. They will be public meetings.
Yeah, subcommittee meetings are noticed.
Yes.
They're noticed meetings, so they'll be up on the website.
Okay. Anybody else have anything before we move on? Do you have any questions for us? No. Okay, all right then.
Okay, motion to continue this discussion to the planning board meeting of March 5th.
Thank you.
Second.
LaRue,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Sutherland.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
Impemba.
Yes.
Natola.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, the staff will inform us of the subcommittee, its composition and dates. Good.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
All right, next on our agenda is minutes.
Oh, pass. I was waiting for that.
Has everyone had a chance to review the 3 sets of minutes that were sent over to us by staff?
Yes.
Yes.
Are you still in contact with the guy who did that?
No, but I'm going to see if he's still alive.
Send him a bill.
Maybe that's what Greg will do this week.
So can we vote on these together, or do we need to vote on them separately?
There was only the one.
No, sets
there
of
were
minutes.
3.
There were 3
Oh, minutes, okay.
minutes, sorry.
Well,
Yeah, I did look at it.
1 email, 3 sets of minutes.
I mean,
Is everyone comfortable voting on them as a block?
I haven't reviewed, so I'm out.
If you're going to abstain from all of them, then we can still vote on them all together.
I am, yeah.
Okay. Okay, I am ready for a motion.
motion to accept the meeting minutes of November 6th, 2025, November 20th, 2025, and December 4th, 2025.
Second.
LaRue,
Yes.
Sutherland,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Harrington,
Yes.
Natola,
Yes.
Impemba.
Abstain.
All right.
And with
Great.
that, we have all of the meeting minutes from last year. I think we're
Good
caught up.
job. That's
Our
great.
recording clerk is doing a great job. I think,
It's only January and we're caught up.
yeah, so she's been
That's
cranking
great.
those out, so I'm trying to.
That is
So I
great.
think from here on out, I think that it should just
That's
be
awesome.
one
That's great.
after another. I know it's been a lot,
Yeah.
kind of big bunches together.
Newer
so.
members don't know this, but we've kind of been lax in this area in the past, so this is really, really good.
No, it's awesome.
So as far as that, why do I have 3 meeting minutes from 2023 in my file?
Because because
we used to be lax.
No, because
So I know
the
you're.
gentleman who was our recording clerk just stopped doing them. And so, and then things kept going.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, wait, we never did that.
Yeah,
That's
so-
literally what happened.
So, it's in the past. We're moving forward.
Moving
We're in
forward.
great shape now.
And all,
Yes.
everything's, all of those are available on the BCAT web, like, all recorded.
So, discussion items. Staff, take it away.
Sure. So the Town Center Signage Design Guidelines, which was a really awesome group effort with kind of started off by the ZBRC Sign Subcommittee. They worked with UTEAL, and we have a finalized document to be given out to property owners and new tenants who are coming in. It's kind of, it's a guide, again, it's a guideline. So when people are coming to get permits, you say, okay, well, when you think about your signage here, this is kind of what we want to see. It is, there's a lot of visuals in it, so helpful. And it's mostly, it's pretty much all administered by the building department.
And it's done.
It's done, it's up on the website, it's,
Yay,
we're all
it's done. Thank you
Done,
to
and-
everyone who worked on that. Betsy, I see you online. Thank you.
yes, much thanks.
Yes.
And then, so we are the recipients of a Mass Downtown Initiative grant that we got in last year. When I applied for a MassWorks grant, or as part of that whole system, the one-stop system, grant system. And it is to look at our town center design rules and regs, which have not been updated in 20 years. And so kind of figure out a streamlined process, make sure we're being true to the original, intent of the overlay district and kind of what people wanted to see, but also making sure that it's viable for, today's economy and what we want to see, what's going on there. But it's mostly procedure. It's mostly like, what is the procedure of, how we do the design review itself. Mixed district guidelines update. We just had a meeting today with our consultants at Innis, and they presented us with a draft of the updated guidelines and design regs, and it's in good shape. It's a lot easier to. I felt it's a lot less wordy. It's very
exponentially better.
yes.
It's
yes.
so much better.
It's easy to read. I think that if you are coming in as a developer, it's definitely more straightforward. We're still working out kind of the last part because most of it is dealing with new buildings, big new buildings,
Right.
and that comes not as often as say a minor engineering change or so that is we're trying to figure out what are the thresholds by which this board would like to see.
Right.
Be able to vary those requirements.
So if I can just add a little bit more to that. I think that what we've accomplished thus far, although I admit it's taken too long, but we're at a point now where I think we have the right format to move forward. We have, or the consultant has successfully helped us cut down on all the narrative so that it's much more streamlined and people don't have to read paragraphs and paragraphs.
The last one, 92 pages?
That was the one that it was more than 92 pages, wasn't it? It was 120-something pages or something. We're going to get it down to, what, 30? Something like that? So it's going to be much less narrative, much easier for developers to look at and know what they want to do. What Liz alluded to is my biggest worry right now with it, is that all of these things they look great, it sounds great, but most of it doesn't happen the way it is described in this document, because what we are finding and what we're seeing, of course, is little minor engineering changes, like when Rocco's Tacos comes and and adds outdoor seating, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine, that's great. But we need to make sure that as these little things happen piecemeal, that it's still all heading in the direction of the original vision. And that's a little harder, and I'm not exactly sure how we do that, but that's something that I think we still are grappling with. So did you want to add anything?
No, just that the immediate next step is we're going to take a deeper look at the document, make sure also that while it was necessarily cut down, that we then don't lose any important education pieces, because like I commented in our meeting, unfortunately we won't all live forever. So there will be a point where new people have to be educated on it.
And we don't have to die, we could just retire.
That's true. That's true. And hopefully, like, the document will still serve a purpose to, like, give some of that foundational education without being insanely overwhelming.
Yes, very true, thank you. So next was the Civic Expo.
So we, staff was at the Civic Expo yesterday at the high school. It was a really well-attended event. There are kind of two rooms in the high school, so we were in kind of the more town government civic side. The other side had more nonprofit organizations, and it was really great talking to people. People came up, spoke to us, and it was good to see everybody, kind of seeing everybody that, you only see once or twice a year. But I think it was.
Yeah, well, we didn't have the side of the crocodile, so.
I know, that's the thing, we didn't have the science
It was
center.
an alligator.
Oh, is that what it was? I guess I didn't
have
stay
the
there long enough to learn from
We
it.
weren't next to the science center, so it wasn't as well attended as the other side, but we.
No, it was good, and I think, one of the things I was saying to Liz today was, I had multiple conversations with people who came up to me and said, I've always had this thought, I've always,
Yes.
wondered this, and I didn't know where to start.
Yeah, or
And they
who
just,
do I
kind of
call?
able to ask, begin that conversation, and whether it's, we had a full answer for them, or saying, oh, you would go to this department, or you should come in, you should follow up with an email. And I feel like, that type of thing where, we're public facing, we're always open to the public, but events like that really kind of put an exclamation point of like, we are there, we are real people who can at least do our best to answer your questions when you have them. And Greg was there too with us.
Can I make a suggestion for the next one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Put $50 in for candy.
What do you mean? Starbursts are so
You didn't
good.
like the candy
It was
options?
pink Starburst.
It was Big Starburst.
So good.
Dunkin' Donuts.
So good.
That was we've always tried to figure out what's the best giveaway, because the DPW, they have little construction trucks and
Oh, yeah, I mean, that is.
other stuff like that. We were brainstorming like, what do we give? And
Well,
I said,
you know what?
Did you got any leftover?
You know what? Budget season is
toy
coming.
gavel.
So
That's why I
we're going to
said-
have to bump up our budget for
What's
freebies.
the,
Okay.
we need chocolate, we
And
want
we'll take
chocolate.
ideas, or if you have better ideas than
Candy.
just Starburst, high quality chocolate, whatever it is, we can, Legos, we can,
Oh, but there's a
build a little
connection.
building.
I
Hey.
like that.
Build a little, yeah.
I love it.
I like
love
that.
so good at
well, I tell
brand.
you, when we went to get our hairdressers up in New Hampshire, went to Portsmouth City Hall, they had outside their clerk's office a Lego version of their city hall.
Adorable.
How do we
There
get
you
that?
go. We need
Yeah, let's
somebody.
make it
Our next sculpture,
Yeah. They-
the Lego sculpture.
So actually, since you brought it up, the Public Arts Committee is going to be going to the Select Board in February with two requests. One is regarding the electrical box that's right next to the new sign. I'm sure everybody has seen the new sign. Thank you, Select Board. It looks really nice. I think it's great. And right next to it is a really ugly electrical box. So the Public Arts Committee would like to have that painted by a local artist. So we're going to speak with Select Board about that in February. We're also going to be presenting to Select Board at that time the Public Art Committee's idea for a community mural project, which could be very exciting. We'll see what they think of it. So that's what the Public Arts Committee is working on. There will also be an art event involving the library and the schools in May. I'll get back to you with the final date on that. And we will be doing a call to artists starting in February with the goal of selecting 3 new sculptures. 3 of the existing sculptures will go away and be replaced by 3 more. So the locations on the common will not change, but the pieces may change, or will change, probably this summer. So that's what's going on with the Public Arts Committee. Okay. All right. Anyone else have any additional messages or things they want to inform us of? Anybody?
Second?
LaRue?
Yes.
Sutherland?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
Harrington?
Yes.
Impemba?
Yes.
Natola?
Yes.
Have a good night, everyone.
Tony, Ann, feel better.
Thank you very much.